barefoot bear. He's tiptoeing over there, sneaking up a tree, scaring all the bees, and getting lots of honey in his hair. Oh, he's a mighty big barefoot bear. He doesn't have a worry or a care.
I don't have a worry or a care.
He romps and plays and follows his nose, sits and counts his big bare toes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
all the way to 20.
He's a mighty big barefoot bear. He doesn't have a worry or a care.
No, I don't have a worry or a care.
I see a barefoot bear dancing over there. He's really big, but he's doing a silly jig, 'cause the honeybees are swarming in the air. Oh, he's a mighty big barefoot bear, with honeybees a-buzzing in his hair.
Oh, the bees are busy buzzing in my hair.
He romps and plays and follows his nose, sits and counts his big bare toes. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13,
all the way to 20.
He's a mighty big barefoot bear. He doesn't have a worry or a care.
No, I don't have a worry or a care.
I see a barefoot bear. He's jumping in puddles over there. The rain poured down and put puddles on the ground. Now he's got puddle mud in his hair. Oh, he's a mighty muddy barefoot bear. He doesn't have a worry or a care.
No, I doesn't have a worry or a care.
He romps and plays and follows his nose, sits and counts his big bare toes. 14, 15, 16, 17,
all the way to 20.
He's a mighty big barefoot bear. He doesn't have a worry or a care.
No, I don't have a worry. I don't have a worry. Don't even have a worry or a care.
Fun facts about bears. Bears are amazing animals. They're smart and strong, and they can grow to be very large. The 3 species of bears in North America tend to live in different areas or habitats. Black bears like to live in the forest, where they can hide in the bushes or climb trees if something frightens them. Grizzly bears tend to live in areas that have more open meadows and fewer trees. The grizzly bears that live near the coast of Alaska and western Canada are called brown bears. Unlike the grizzlies living farther inland, brown bears get to eat plenty of salmon as they migrate in from the ocean. Because they eat so many fish, brown bears grow to enormous sizes, much larger than the inland grizzly. Bears are very small when they're first born. They're usually about the size of a baby kitten or a guinea pig, much smaller than you were when you were born, but they can grow to be huge. The average black bear weighs about 230 pounds. They don't get nearly as big as brown bears or polar bears, but they can grow up to weigh over 600 pounds. A male grizzly can reach 900 pounds, but the average size is about half of that. Bears are mammals, which means they have fur to keep them warm and they give milk to their baby cubs. Bears have big bodies with large heads, but they have little eyes, little round ears, and short furry little tails. Bears walk a lot, and they kind of shuffle when they walk. They usually walk on all 4 legs, but they can stand up and walk on 2 legs for short distances. Bears can run very, very fast. Because bears tend to move around fairly slowly, most people don't think they can run as fast as they can. But some full-grown bears can run as fast as a racehorse, over 35 to 40 miles an hour. That means nobody can outrun a bear, so it's always smart to stay as far away from them as you can. Most little bears love to climb trees. They climb trees just for the fun of it, but they also climb trees when they hear something in the woods that frightens them. Their sharp claws help them climb very fast. Brown bears and grizzly bears can climb trees very well when they're little, but when they get big, it becomes harder for them. Their claws aren't as curved as those of black bears, so it's harder for them to hang on to trees as they gain weight. I think if I weighed 400 or 500 pounds, I'd have a hard time climbing trees too. Bears will often take naps in trees. Some black bears have even been known to hibernate way up inside the trunk of a hollow tree. One scientist found black bears hibernating inside a tree trunk 70 feet off the ground. Bears like to wander around finding food in the spring, summer, and fall, but in the early winter, most bears like to find dens in secluded areas so they can have a nice, safe place to hibernate. Some bears use caves for dens, and some use big hollow tree trunks. Others dig out dens among the rocks or the roots of trees. Some bears use the same den year after year, and other bears dig a new den every year. Some bear dens have been used by generations of bears for hundreds and possibly thousands of years. Brown bears and grizzly bears usually dig a den out of a hillside which faces north. Black bears usually dig their dens among the roots of trees. After a bear digs out its den, it usually pulls brush and branches inside to make a nice bed on which to sleep. If I was going to sleep for a few months, I'd want a nice bed to sleep on as well. Bears are not considered true hibernators like some animals because they can wake up if the weather gets warm or if something bothers them. Sometimes hibernating bears wake up and leave their dens for a while, but often they just sleep and sleep and sleep. Except for female bears with cubs, most bears hibernate by themselves. Sometimes young bears that have recently left their mother will hibernate together. When a bear is hibernating, its body temperature drops slightly and its heartbeat slows down. It curls up and its fur keeps it warm like a good blanket. The temperature inside a bear den is usually much warmer than the air outside, but it's still pretty cool. Bears can hibernate for up to 7 months. Can you imagine sleeping for 7 months? And bears don't eat anything while they hibernate. It's amazing. Can you imagine not eating anything for 7 months? Can you imagine not leaving your room for 7 months? It's a long time. Most people think bears hibernate so they can stay warm in the winter. But bears don't hibernate to stay away from the cold weather. They hibernate because there isn't very much to eat in the winter. It's their way of making it through the temporary food shortage that occurs when it gets cold out. In southern regions where the growing season is longer and food is abundant for greater periods of time, bears don't hibernate as long. Bears won't hibernate at all if they have plenty of food to eat. When bears are hibernating, their bodies use up the fat that's been stored up during the summer months. That's one reason bears eat so much. They really need to be fat when they start to hibernate so they can have enough energy to sleep all winter. If a bear wakes up in the middle of the winter, there usually isn't anything around that it can eat. That's one reason it has to eat and eat to store up so much fat in the summer months. Brown bears can have 6 to 10 inches of fat underneath their fur when they begin to hibernate. When bears finish hibernating in the spring, they're always much skinnier than when they started. And they're usually very hungry, as you can imagine. And what do they eat? What don't they eat might be a better question. Black bears, grizzly bears, and brown bears are called omnivores, which means they eat both plants and animals. They eat berries and nuts and roots and bugs and rodents and fish and even large mammals. They usually eat more plants than animals. Probably because plants don't tend to run away like animals do when something's about to eat them. When brown bears are feeding heavily, they will eat 80 to 90 pounds of food in a single day and gain 3 to 6 pounds of fat in a single day. And bears love honey. The bees sting them, of course, when they're stealing all their honey, but bears seem to consider it a small price to pay for such a sweet treat. Female bears give birth to their cubs while sleeping in their dens. Usually 2 or 3 cubs are born, but black bears can give birth to as many as 5 or 6 cubs. Black bear cubs usually don't weigh more than a pound. They're very, very small when you compare them to their mothers, which might weigh several hundred pounds. Can you imagine what it would feel like if your mother was 300 or 400 times as big as you? Grizzly bears and polar bears usually give birth to twins, but they can have just one cub, and they can also have triplets. Litters of 4 are very rare. Their cubs are a little larger, weighing about 1.5 pounds. Bear cubs can't see when they're first born because they're born with their eyes closed. They can't smell or hear, and they don't have any teeth. They're really pretty small and helpless. But then who's going to bother them when they're sleeping with their great big mother? By the time winter ends, baby bears are much bigger and are ready to play and explore outside their den. Baby bears learn a lot from their mother. They follow their mother everywhere. She protects them while they're small and raises them all by herself. They learn what plants and animals are good to eat and where to find them. They learn how to stay away from danger. They learn how to find a good place to make a den. If they misbehave, their mother will sometimes swat them with her paw. If a mother bear senses danger, she will often send her cubs up a tree or into the bushes or over a hill to hide until the danger is gone. Little bear cubs love to play. They like to chase one another and jump on each other and wrestle. They like to tumble and roll. They like to hide from one another and roll rocks around. Adult bears don't tend to play with one another. Black bear cubs stay with their mothers for about 1.5 years before going out on their own. Polar bear and grizzly bear cubs stay with their mothers for 2.5 years or longer. Once bear cubs leave their mother, they will often stay with their sibling for another year or so. The mother bear will usually give birth to more cubs. In the wild, bears live 20 years or more. The oldest wild bear on record was between 32 and 33 years old when it died. Bears have territories which they protect from other bears. The size of a bear's territory varies depending on the species. Bears often mark their territories by reaching way up and scratching the bark off a tree. This lets other bears know that there's a bear already living in that area. Bears can get very angry if another bear comes in their territory. Bears can also get angry if they're protecting food or get surprised or feel like their cubs are in danger. Angry bears will often growl and snap their teeth. They will sometimes charge the animal or person that has bothered them, so it's best to give bears plenty of room. Most bears, and black bears in particular, are usually very shy animals. Except for mother bears with cubs, adult bears spend most of their time alone. Bears like being alone. If they can see you or hear you walking down a trail towards them, they will usually disappear quickly before you even know they're around. So it's smart to make some noise when you're hiking in areas that have bears. It's also smart to take your time and hike with one or more friends. This makes it even easier for a bear to hear you and get out of your way before you cross his path. At one time, black bears lived all across Canada and in every state in the U.S. except Hawaii. Today they still live in every province and territory in Canada, but they are only found in about 2/3 of the U.S. states. Grizzlies have disappeared from the prairie provinces of Canada, and in the continental U.S., grizzlies are only found in parts of Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming. Their available habitat in the U.S. is less than 2% of what it was many years ago. Bears, particularly grizzly bears, polar bears, and brown bears, need plenty of space to live. If we want to have bears around in the future, we need to do things for them now. One of the most important things you can do for bears when you're visiting in bear country is to keep a very clean campsite. Try not to leave any food out when you're not eating, and be sure to dispose of leftovers and trash properly so bears won't be attracted to the camping area. And never ever feed a bear. It's dangerous to you and the bear. Bears that learn to get food from people or camping areas often have to be captured and moved far away. So it's really harmful to a bear to give it food, or to allow it to find food where you're camping. So remember, always keep a clean campsite. And I hope you've enjoyed hearing a few fun facts about bears.
backpack tree, a backpack tree. I love it when I run into a backpack tree. When I'm bouncing down the trail, my favorite thing to see is backpacks hanging in a backpack tree. Backpacks are my favorite food. They put me in a wonderful mood. It's never very hard to get them down. I climb up the tree and I drop them to the ground. A backpack tree, a backpack tree. I love it when I run into a backpack tree. When I'm bouncing down the trail, my favorite thing to see is backpacks hanging in a backpack tree. When I see a tree full of backpack fruit, I climb straight up the trunk and carefully knock all the backpacks down, and I watch them land with a thump. Then I shinny back down the tree and eat all the backpack fruit. Then I cover those backpacks up with dirt and hope that they'll take root. The backpack tree, a backpack tree. I love it when I run into a backpack tree. When I'm bouncing down the trail, my favorite thing to see is backpacks hanging in a backpack tree. Backpacks are my favorite food. They put me in a wonderful mood. It's never very hard to get them down. I climb up the tree and I drop them to the ground. A backpack tree, a backpack tree. I love it when I run into a backpack tree. When I'm bouncing down the trail, my favorite thing to see is backpacks hanging in a backpack tree. Sometimes I see campers pick all my backpack fruit. Then they carry it off way down the trail, but I don't give a hoot, 'cause I know it won't take very long to find another backpack tree filled with tasty backpacks growing just for me. A backpack tree, a backpack tree. I love it when I run into a backpack tree. When I'm bouncing down the trail, my favorite thing to see is backpacks hanging in a backpack tree. Backpacks are my favorite food. They put me in a wonderful mood. It's never very hard to get them down. I climb up the tree and I drop them to the ground. A backpack